The question of whether the Confederacy, the South, was ever close to winning the American Civil War is complex and debated by historians. Despite being outmatched in terms of resources, industry, and population, the Confederacy did have moments where it seemed possible that they might achieve victory or at least force a negotiated settlement. This video is broken down into 3 parts. We'll first briefly discuss the turning points where South could have had the upper hand. Then we'll look at some individual battles and finally answer the question, what if the South had won or sued for peace in the Civil War? Key moments where the South was close to victory. First Battle of Bull Run, also known as Manassas, in July 1861. The South won this early battle, which shocked the North and demonstrated that the war would be longer and more brutal than expected. The victory bolstered Southern morale and led to the belief that they could successfully defend their independence. Antietam, in September 1862. General Robert E. Lee's invasion of the North aimed to pressure the Union to negotiate peace. Although the battle ended in a tactical draw, it was a strategic defeat for the Confederacy as it ended Lee's invasion. However, had Lee won decisively, it could have led to foreign recognition and support for the South. Battle of Fredericksburg, December 1862. The Confederacy won a decisive victory here, inflicting heavy casualties on Union forces. This victory, combined with Union discontent over the Emancipation Proclamation, caused political turmoil in the North, which the South hoped would lead to peace talks. Battle of Chancellorsville, May 1863. Another significant Confederate victory under General Lee, who outmaneuvered and defeated a much larger Union force. This victory bolstered Confederate hopes, but it came at a high cost with the death of General Stonewall Jackson. Gettysburg, July 1863. The Battle of Gettysburg was Lee's second attempt to invade the North. A Confederate victory here could have potentially led to recognition from European powers, or swayed Northern public opinion toward peace. However, the defeat marked a turning point in the war in favor of the Union. Election of 1864. President Abraham Lincoln's re-election was not guaranteed. If the Democratic candidate George McClellan, who ran on a platform of negotiating peace with the Confederacy, had won, the South might have gained independence or negotiated a settlement. However, Union victories in Atlanta and elsewhere boosted Northern morale and helped secure Lincoln's re-election, dooming the Confederacy's hopes. The 2 most interesting what-if scenarios are the Battle of Gettysburg and Battle of Antietam. So what if the South won at Gettysburg? The Battle of Gettysburg, which took place from July 1st to 3rd, 1863, is often cited as the turning point of the Civil War. A Confederate victory at Gettysburg could have had far-reaching consequences. If it led to the capture of Washington, D.C. or other northern cities, it could have greatly weakened Northern morale. The peace movement in the North might have gained significant traction, pressuring President Lincoln to consider negotiating a peace settlement. The war was already unpopular in many parts of the North, and another major defeat could have swayed public opinion toward ending the war. A victory at Gettysburg could also have persuaded Britain and France, who were already considering recognizing the Confederacy, to offer diplomatic recognition or even intervene on the South's behalf. This could have provided the Confederacy with much-needed supplies, loans, and possibly military support. If the Army of the Potomac had been decisively defeated, the Union's main force in the Eastern Theater would have been shattered. This might have allowed Lee to march on Washington, D.C. or other strategic targets, forcing the Union into a defensive posture and possibly leading to a negotiated settlement. With the Union's morale crushed and the South gaining ground, a negotiated peace might have been possible. The Confederacy could have achieved recognition as an independent nation, leading to a permanently divided United States. Alternatively, a Southern victory at Gettysburg could have prolonged the war. The Union might have regrouped and continued fighting, leading to an even bloodier and more protracted conflict, with no guarantee of a Southern victory in the long run. What if the South won at Antietam? The Battle of Antietam on September 17, 1862, was the bloodiest single day in American history. Though it ended in a tactical draw, it provided President Lincoln the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, which shifted the war's focus to ending slavery and deterred European powers from supporting the Confederacy. A Confederate victory at Antietam could have dealt a severe blow to Lincoln's administration. The Union's string of early defeats had already created significant political pressure on Lincoln, and a defeat at Antietam could have intensified calls for peace negotiations or even for Lincoln's removal from office. Lincoln used the Union's strategic position after Antietam to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. A Confederate victory might have delayed or prevented this, keeping European nations more open to recognizing the Confederacy and keeping the war solely focused on preserving the Union rather than ending slavery. A decisive Southern victory at Antietam could have emboldened Britain and France to recognize the Confederacy. European powers, particularly Britain, were economically tied to Southern cotton and might have been more willing to intervene, possibly by mediating a peace settlement or even providing military aid to the South. A Confederate victory at Antietam might also have allowed the South to sue for peace from a position of strength. If Lincoln had been forced into peace negotiations, the Confederacy could have gained its independence, leading to two separate nations on the American continent. Alternatively, the Union might have continued fighting even after a defeat at Antietam, but with a weakened position both domestically and internationally. The war could have dragged on longer, with greater destruction and a possibly less decisive outcome. So, what if the South won? Confederate victory or peace settlement could have led to a permanently divided United States. If the Confederacy had won its independence, North America might have become home to two rival nations. The Southern economy, based on slavery, would have continued, potentially leading to future conflicts or international tensions. A divided United States might not have emerged as the global superpower it became in the 20th century. This could have altered the outcome of both world wars, the Cold War, and other significant global events. The institution of slavery would likely have persisted in the South for much longer, possibly into the 20th century. This could have led to further conflicts between the North and South, or even within the Confederacy as international pressure to abolish slavery mounted. The social and cultural development of both the North and South would have diverged significantly. The South might have developed as a more agrarian slaveholding society, while the North continued to industrialize and modernize. In conclusion, while a Confederate victory at Gettysburg or Antietam would not have guaranteed a Southern victory in the Civil War, it could have dramatically altered the course of the war and potentially led to a divided United States, with profound implications for the future of both American and global history.